Welcome to Mountain Man Explore the Truth. How's everybody doing today or tonight, depending on the time you're listening to the podcast? I hope you are doing well, my friends. Today, we're going to be welcoming on Darrell Denton. Man, I am so glad to finally have him on the show. We've been talking about doing this for over a year, actually, but I took a long break. But anyways, I'm glad to have Darrell Denton come on the show and share his experience, and we just get into all kinds of things tonight. I hope you really enjoyed the episode. We don't just listen to his experience of the encounters and so on. We actually take this show on a different route because I'm sure you heard his experience on other shows. So we just basically talk Bigfoot, we talk Dogman, we talk about all these weird, strange things that have to do with it. We get in a lot more, so just take a listen and find out. So it definitely turned out to be a great show, so check it out. So if you'd like to come on the show, please email me at MountainmanETT@gmail.com. Again, MountainmanETT@gmail.com. And, you know, it could be anything. You had a Dogman, Bigfoot encounter, paranormal, UFO, conspiracy theory. You just want to come on and talk about your book. Anything. That's awesome. Come on the show. There's a lot more to the world than just those things. There's little people, fairies, you name it. Don't be ashamed to come on the show to share. You know, you're not going to get ridiculed here. You're here to spread your truth, and that's what's most important here. And you know what, guys? I really enjoyed this episode with Darrell. I was blown away. I decided to do the intro over because I was like, wow. So I hope you enjoy the show, guys. So be sure to listen to it. If you are watching this on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button. That's what's most important right now. Hit that subscribe and hit that thumbs up. And make sure you're hitting that bell so you're going to know that a new episode drops, you know? And comment. Please let me know how I'm doing. I really like to hear your feedback. And on Spotify, please hit follow and rate it a 5-star if you would. That helps the show a lot, brings it up. And most importantly, I keep forgetting to say it, download the episode. When you download the episode on Spotify, it actually brings it up in the chart. More to come, guys. A lot more to come to you. So I hope you continue to listen to Mountain Man Explore the Truth. And I just don't, you know, I'm just blown away. I'm enjoying it, and I'm having a great time with people and learning from them and their experience and their encounters and research. I totally look at researchers differently than I did before. And there's a handful that I think, but there's amazing amount that are actually foots on the ground doing a great job in their knowledge, so I have much respect for those guys. So yeah, stay tuned. There's going to be a lot more new people coming on the show that I think you'll enjoy. So Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, guys. This will be released that week for Christmas week, and I'll have one on the next week, I hope. I got a lot of cool other guests coming, like I said, so here we go. We're going to get ready to bring on Darrell, so he'll be on shortly. Today, we welcome on Darrell. Darrell, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm honored to be here.
Yeah, go ahead and tell people who you are. I'm pretty sure they're going to be familiar with you, Darrell.
My name's Darrell Denton. I've been involved in the Bigfoot phenomenon since November the 6th of 92, my first encounter in rural Tennessee on my grandfather's farm. I've had numerous encounters over the years. My first one was terrifying. It took me about 6 or 7 years to even go in the woods.
Yeah, I remember hearing that one. That one was pretty intense.
Yeah, and you know, I've befriended a family on the river for 4 years. They were like my family. I really cared for them. They were never aggressive. They were very friendly to me, and took a lot of work to earn their trust, and I did. And you know, they were pretty important to me. And then I've had some other encounters since then, and another encounter with me and Scott Carpenter did to some that were trying to terrorize my farm in 2020. And I've been mainly in the Dogman thing. Not that I don't enjoy researching. I've had so many experiences with Bigfoot, I've kind of journeyed off into with my best friend, Martin Groves. He's been my best friend 43 years. And he and I both just fortunately lived in the same area. And back in the day when you couldn't talk about this kind of stuff, you know, I had a Bigfoot encounter and he had a Dogman try to kill him. So,
yeah, you know, that's what's interesting.
You know, he's my research partner.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
My number one research partner, my team. I have a team that's Barton Nunley, Martin Groves, and Ryan Moorhead. They're all my closest friends, and we try to get out at least once or twice a month from this time of year on until about October of next year. This is our time of year when we really start getting going right after Christmas. So
I
I'll
think
be
that's
quiet for a minute. And I'll let you ask any question or what you'd like me to say here.
well. When you just brought up Ron Moorhead, I had him on the show. I think it was a little over a year ago, and I was definitely unprepared because I didn't expect him to come on the show. Darrell, I was like, oh wow, he got back to me real quick, and I was like, man, I'm not prepared for this, but I didn't want to miss that opportunity to bring him on the show, and I did, and he was a really knowledgeable man and tell me about all these things, and I was like, wow, blown away by what he had to say. I just wish I had more questions to ask him, but how long you guys been researching, you said?
We've been Ron has been a part of my team. I've known Ron a long time, but he's been a very close friend of mine, and I've always followed him. He's just a book of knowledge and just a superhuman being. I just think the world of him, and he's actually been a part of our team. You know, we're real selective on who we take because we go into some areas that I wouldn't suggest just anybody to go into. We mainly research one area on a predominant basis, and that's the LBL, the land between the lakes of Tennessee and Kentucky. And you know,
Oh,
Ron
wow.
goes in with us. He's been on our team for a little over 2 years. And of course, Barton Nunley's been on the team for quite a while, and of course, Martin Groves and I've been researching together for over 30 years. So they just all kind of blended together. We got along good together. We all had some of the same similar opinions and what we thought these things were. We don't always agree on everything, but we do respect each other and we work well together.
You know, that's the key, to have respect for each other and opinions, because that's the problem with the world when we're getting into these unknown things, and there's people who think they're, one mindset on one thing, and you're like, come on, guys, you got to open your mind to other things, because we don't know what's really going on. We just know they're there. So I really, really respect people like yourself, Darrell, and, and other researchers. At first I was like, I'm not sure about these researchers, but once I got to know some more, I'm like, oh, okay, I got a lot of respect for these ones because they're actually foots on the ground and going out there and looking into these things. So I really, really respect people like yourself on that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You know, there's a lot of good people out there, and I don't really consider myself a researcher as much as I do an experiencer because I'm out there to try to experience something new, and we're all trying to learn something from it. And it's not always a friendly nature. I mean, I've had some pretty bad encounters along with some good encounters too. So you really don't know what you're running into out there. I've seen 3 Dogman since I've been researching. I've seen parts and bits of other ones, but as far as the entire body, the whole creature, I've seen 3. And 2 of those were completely different, nothing alike at all. And the other one was quite similar to the first one I'd seen. But, you know, um, it's amazing to me how many people I hear talk about what they think these things are and what they don't think they are. And everybody has an opinion. I respect that. But at the same time, there is no expert. Anybody that thinks there's an expert, I'm sorry, you're wrong. I've been doing this a long time, and about the only thing I'm an expert at is saying my prayers. But
Yeah.
there is no expert. You don't know what you're going to run into. You don't know what kind of creature that if it's going to be friendly. Some of these creatures will hurt you. I quite frankly believe they'll kill you.
Mm-hmm.
They're not all friendly. They're just like people. There's good and bad in all of them. So
Mm-hmm.
I've had a lot more good encounters than I have bad. But you just don't ever know what you're walking into when you're walking into a blind area that you haven't been into. And I would always suggest that never go by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I used to go by myself a lot, and I won't do it anymore. I was in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia for 10 days. I got lost in there for 3. Didn't think I was
Whoa.
going to find
Okay.
my way out. But, I was there, 10 nights in that place is, it's deep, remote. And then when it's black in there, I'm talking about you can't see your hand in front of your face. I got too far back in there and got off trail and got a little lost.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a lot of creature reactions back there, things that I wasn't counting on. So there's a lot of strange things in our forests and our woods, and people really don't. The average person would never believe some of the things that we've witnessed and seen. So,
Yeah, when I started doing my show,
pretty
and
remarkable what's out there.
yeah, I totally agree with you on that 100%, because when I first started doing my show, I talked to friends and family about it. They kind of looked at me funny, and I'm like, it's what I believe. I've always believed it. I've been kind of shy about it, but now I don't really care what people think. I had some paranormal experience. I've seen some UFOs, and I think I might have seen a Bigfoot, but not 100% sure. But yeah, I've always had a fascination on them since I was a kid, and here I am 40 years old, and I'm like, I'm not ashamed about sharing it anymore. I've always been into Bigfoot, and I've always been interested in it, and I believe they're real.
Yeah. Well,
so.
I mean, I think you got the right attitude about it.
Mm-hmm.
You got the right attitude about it. You really do.
Thank you.
You have to have. You got to be open minded about any of this stuff. We were in. Man, we've had some crazy things happen to us. I mean, I've got a friend named Thomas Dugal. That's You may know Thomas. He's a great guy. He actually got into a pretty crazy thing with a Bigfoot down in Florida about a few years back, and he wrote a book about it and everything, and he still this day has never actually got over what actually happened to him there. And I don't think anybody, especially when I wouldn't say you're a believer or a non-believer, but when you really don't know if these things are out there or not, it's not even crossing your mind. You're just there having a good time in the forest, maybe hunting or hiking or whatever, and you walk up on one of these things, or one walks up on you and it's in a terrible bad mood, it gives you some type of PTSD. It really does. I mean, it can mess you up pretty good. It took me 6 or 7 years, and I don't scare easy. I really don't. I've been in the woods all my life since I was a kid, camping and hunting, and 10, 12 years old, I was spending the night in the woods with my dog and my shotgun. I wasn't scared of the woods, and there was bears and bobcats and coyotes and that type of stuff, but I wasn't afraid of them. I knew better to stay away from them. But what's out there now, and what I know is out there, I don't think people really understand what's in the woods.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
There's creatures that I've never seen before, and I've been going into.
Yeah, that's what kind of freaks me out a little bit.
We had experience Ron Moorhead.
Yeah, that's what freaks me out, and hearing about these Dogman things, and I've been hearing a lot more reports of Dogman here in Oregon around the national forest and Mountain Hood area, and I'm like, wow. So these things are everywhere, and what else is out there, besides Bigfoot and Dogman? I mean, what else,
No, I've never seen an alien. I've never seen a UFO that I'm sure of. I mean, I've seen stuff in the sky, and I can't be sure what it was, but I've seen a Bigfoot, and I've seen lots of them. I've seen them up close, and you don't forget it. But, some of them are friendly. Like I said, they're not all bad. And I've seen a Dogman within 7 foot, the last one I seen.
Wow.
And it could have killed me, but it didn't. And it could have got Martin Groves too. And, it didn't heal, but it made us really sick for a while. But,
what do you think they are? What do you think
March
these...
this year, we were all in our area. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
Breaking up on me a little bit there.
You hear me now?
That's right.
Okay, I think you hear me.
March this year, yeah, I hear you great now. March of this year, we seen a creature that I've never seen. We were in the LBL, Martin Only and Martin Groves and myself. We seen what they call a crawler, one of these humanoid-looking things that crawls around on its hands and knees, and I'd never seen one of them, and it actually ran up a tree. I mean, literally like a squirrel. I was just amazed. I couldn't believe what I seen. And it just went right up the tree like nothing, and it was a very strange-looking creature.
What the hell is that?
And we all seen it. And then there was 2 more behind it over in the woods, and they were making this clicking noise. They were talking to each other in some type of clicking like noise, but that was my first time ever seeing one of those things. I've heard about them, but I've never seen one. But
that kind of freaks me out a little bit.
My point is, there's just so many different things out in the woods.
Well, that freaks me out a little bit because my daughter, about a summer,
It's a little fun.
I'd say 1 year or 2 years ago of summertime, my daughter said she saw some like a naked man thing crawling on all four up in the woods here, and I thought she was just imagining things, and it definitely sounds similar to what you saw, so that's kind of creepy.
Oh no, man, this thing was for real. I'd never seen anything like it. I'd never crossed my mind that I would see anything like it. But it was real thin, humanoid type head, no hair on its body, kind of a grayish white color.
Wow.
And the shocking part is how it went up the tree. It just went up the scale of the tree just like a squirrel or something. It was so amazing. I couldn't believe how fast it was running up this tree. But it was strange, very strange looking creature. Like I said, that's the first time I'd ever seen one. I've heard of them, but I've never seen one. And I don't, like I said, my point to all this is we don't really know what's out there.
No, you're 100% right, because you hear about these little people, and then you hear about these little trolls that people say they seen, and I don't know. There's a lot of weird things that I came across in the woods and I couldn't explain. I've actually found little tiny footprints out there, look like little human footprints, and I was told no, that's probably some kind of animal that kind of made it look like that. And I'm like, well, I don't know. It sure looked like a little tiny person's footprint to me, but I say it was probably like a half-inch big. In the mud, you could see like a trail walking along on the tree line. So
No, I've never seen one of those, but I do believe they're real. As a matter of fact, my friend Barton Nunley found a small arrow
wow,
in the woods, a tiny arrow with an etched out stone on the end, like a regular arrow, primitive made. And it had the
wow,
feathers on the end, and he even found the bow laying in the middle of the forest, in the middle of nowhere, on a little area, just laying there. He just happened to see it as he's crossing through there.
that's
And something had to make that, and I can't imagine anything that wasn't that size that wouldn't have made it.
yeah, that's wow, that's interesting because I don't know. It starts to back up all these people that seen these little people type things in the woods, and I definitely think there's more going on than we know, and I don't know why they try to keep it from us, but I don't know. I definitely have my mind open to more of this stuff. But I have a question for you, Darrell. What
I
was
think
the?
a lot of the
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was just going to make a statement. I think a lot of the folklore we've heard over the years of these, fairies and everything you can think of, they all come about from something. Somebody's seen something or heard something at one time or another at one time in their life.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you on that for sure, man, because I've been getting, little reports here and there that people will tell me about certain things. There's a few people I want to bring on the show, but they're not ready to. They're a little nervous to talk about what they seen that they said has nothing to do with Bigfoot or Dogman or anything else. It was something else like fairies. But they're not ready to come on the show yet, which I give them respect for that. When they're ready, they can come on. But they started telling me a little bit of pieces about it, how they saw these little fairies flying around and landed on them, and they just look like a human, but more elf looking. And I was like, wow. They go, you need to come on the show and share that with us. But they're not ready yet. So hopefully in time, that person will come on.
It's pretty much like, all the Bigfoot reports that we hear, even through the BFRO. I'm not by any means, I'm not criticizing the BFRO, but they really don't have the facts on a lot of the reports they get, and
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty much proven that at least more than half of the sightings of any type of creature, whether it be Bigfoot or Dogman or whatever it be, is never reported because people don't want to be ridiculed and they don't
Yep.
want to go in front of anybody and have to tell the story because they don't like that feeling of people thinking they're just making up a story or they've seen a bear and it's not a bear. It's one of the creatures that I mentioned. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many times family members told me they believed me because I know I'm honest. Were you sure you didn't see a bear? No, I didn't see a bear. It was a Bigfoot. So
Mm-hmm.
it's hard for people to understand that. We grew up with, believing that there weren't boogeymen in the woods and all this stuff was fairy tales and this stuff didn't exist. But realistically, it did exist and it still does.
Yeah, it's like all these stories
Our
we
mind
heard.
doesn't.
It's not stories. I mean, they
Well,
turn out to be true.
yeah, sure, our mind doesn't wrap around that. It just really doesn't.
No.
It's hard for the mind to even when you see something your first time, you even second guess yourself. Because I did the same thing. Did I really see that?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's so hard to believe, you second guess yourself.
Well, yeah, I have a friend of mine tell me about an encounter he had up here in our woods, not maybe about 7 miles from me, up Wildcat here, and he doesn't want to come on the show. It messed him up pretty bad what he saw in the woods, and he was out bow hunting. He ran into this thing in the woods. He was getting ready to take a shot with his bow at a buck, and then he saw something moving to his left. So he looked to his left, and he saw this thing peeking around a tree at him, and he said it had reddish long hair and it had like an orange looking eyes with the black pupil in the middle, of course. And he said it just kind of reminded him of a Bigfoot, the Harry the Henderson type Bigfoot, but more human like in the face. But it gave him a look of dread where he says it gave him a feeling like I need to get out of here. This thing stared him eye contact, and I think it was happened to be both hunting the same thing at the same time, and this thing put fear in him. So he said he felt like he was feeling sick, so he started backing out. And he got the hell out of there, and it messed him up. He's been drinking since then, and he doesn't even want to come on my show to share it because it messed him up pretty bad.
Yeah, that's something, that happens to a lot of people. It really does.
Mm-hmm.
It really does. It happens to a lot of people. I mean, the people get, they're in a situation, first of all, where they're a little bit worrisome about telling somebody about something, and then when something that they're not even sure of themselves, it makes it even worse on them. Because I've had friends that's called me, and they said, I just couldn't believe I seen this thing. And they would try to tell me about what they'd seen and want to know what I think, and I give them my, what I believe. So, I have literally, I'm guessing 25, 30 people a week will message me or call me about some type of creature at their house, whether it be a Bigfoot or they don't know what it is, or some kind of howls or noises or growls it makes, and want to know what it is and what they should do. And, it's hard for me to tell them what to do because, first of all, I'm not 100% sure what kind of creature it is, and it may not be friendly either. So I always tell people if they've got them around their house. I had a lady that texted me last night over and over, and I was with my fiance, and we couldn't get a lot done because she was scared to death. And I just said, just call me. I gave her my number, and she called me, and we both listened to her. And she goes, what I need to do, these things are coming around my porch at night. They're looking in my window. I'm scared to death of them. And I said, well, get you some motion censored lights on your house outside, all around your house, and get you some game cameras to put up on each corner of the house. And they won't come around. And they won't. They don't want to be around cameras. They don't want to be around lights. So,
yeah, I believe that works.
As I know, she was, when I talked to her earlier today, he had an electrician out there, and he was trying to put some floodlights, motion censored floodlights on her house, and she was going to have her son to put some game cameras on around the house. And I tell people that all the time, and it works. These creatures don't want to be filmed, and they don't like light.
Yeah, I also heard that Bigfoots don't seem to like German Shepherds for some reason. Is that something you know of, or could be true?
Well, Bigfoots don't like any type of barking dog.
Okay.
If it's a dog that's barking, they don't like it. And I'm not sure if it's any difference from the German Shepherd and any other breed of dog, but
okay,
it could be. I don't know that. So, but I only answer what I do know. I know they don't like barking dogs. Any kind of dog that barks at them constantly, just keeps barking, it's not good for the dog.
Yeah.
So it's best to keep your pets away from those creatures if you can, or keep them in the house, or where they won't bother them.
I find it fascinating too,
these
because
creatures frequent your property.
Yeah, because right across the canyon from me, I learned that there's a family group over there, because I know a researcher that actually lives in my town that he was on well, let's just say he's Cliff, and he's investigating an area, and the way he described this area is an area that I already know about because I lived out here all my life, you know. Um, and he was talking
Yeah.
about two ponds, and then I was like, oh my god, I know where that is because I've seen some things going on across the canyon here, and no person's allowed to go over there without the permission from this logging company. And my father-in-law has lived here all his life. He said he's found structures and footprints and weird stuff over there, and he never thought of Bigfoot. He just thought it was people, you know, weird stuff. And now he's like, oh my god, I think I found things that had something to connect with Bigfoot. And when I've heard this, you know, Cliff talking about an area where he's
Yeah, it's pretty
researching,
crazy.
I know where that is now, but I'm not going to go over there and invade his investigation area. But I've known of that area.
Yeah, you know, it's there's so many areas that people don't realize what's in there. That's pretty easy to find a spot like that. I've walked into areas that I had no idea that something was in there, but it doesn't take long to find out.
Oh yeah.
And the big secret about this now is there's so many of these creatures. I truly believe since I started researching in 90, actually about 99 is when I really got real serious about it, when I had the encounter on the river that I become friends with that family. But I didn't realize how many of these creatures are in the woods. There's a whole lot more of them than I ever thought there were. I've heard, I was speaking in a conference in, I think I was in Florida speaking at a conference a year ago, and I heard a well-known scientist get up and say that he thought there might be roughly 4,000 of these creatures in the United States. And I literally almost started laughing. I said, there may be that many in the state of Tennessee, but the United States, I truly believe there's a large population of these creatures, and they're so elusive and intelligent. And they have special abilities too, how they can hide from you. It's not just blending in. So I've never seen one go interdimensional or cloaked. I've been around a lot of them. I have seen them walk behind a tree and not ever come out. Don't know where they went. But you know, Ron Moorhead has done so much studying on this, and his book called The Quantum Bigfoot, is probably one of the best books I've ever read. I've read it 4 times. Every time I read it, I learn something differently. But it talks about how the higher energies these creatures have, the vibration, gives them this ability that we don't have because of the vibration of the energy being so strong in their bodies.
Mm-hmm.
They can transfer themselves into a different state, whether it be another dimension or be some type of orb or whatever. You know, I truly believe those creatures can do that. Um, no, I have not witnessed one doing it, but I do think they can. I've been around them for enough to know the kind of special abilities that they do have. It's quite shocking. They seem to know what you're thinking. They're just super intelligent. They
Mm-hmm.
really are. They seem to know your intent too. They know if you have a good heart or not. They know what you're doing there. If you're in the woods hunting them, I would hate to go in the woods with it in mind to kill one of these creatures and think you're going to get out of there safely, because they feel like they're about their families just like you feel about yours.
I'll have to agree with you because some of the people that came on my show talked about how they feel like the Watchers. That's the last episode I just put up. Donna talked about how she's known these things for a long time since she was, you know, pretty young child with her dad knowing what they are. And he said, just leave them alone. They'll leave you alone. You know, don't try to, you know, show threat to them, and they won't show threat to you. And they basically had you know, like a little bit of a relationship race, basically like what you said. And they had respect for each other, you know, and they're in their area and you're in your area, and they just live out their life. And so she called them the Watchers because they're always watching.
Yeah, I've been calling them the peekers and the watchers for years, because when you get out of your vehicle, if you're on a trail 3 miles from the woods and you park, they're watching you. They know you're coming. And they've always got, a lot of times, a juvenile belly crawling and looking over a stump or around a tree. They're watching out for the entire family or clan, whichever one you want to call them. And you know, regardless of what people think, I personally know from my experience, they're not hate. They're not any type of hate. They're some type of ancient human,
Mm-hmm.
and their ability is way too intelligent for an ape. So they they're so elusive is what's so amazing. But I mean, I've actually literally walked by one and didn't even see it, and had, at that particular time we were filming an area that we were researching, and I would have never known that it was there if we hadn't have filmed that one little spot that we were trying to make a marker on. And when we pulled the picture out, you could see it on the other side of the tree looking at us. It was 25 foot from us. We never seen it.
That's amazing. I agree with you on that too, because I at first I thought maybe some kind of ape hybrid human type thing. But then the more I look into this, the deeper I get in, I feel like they have more of a connection to us. And I feel like I think people go with ape because how hairy they are. Some of us humans are hairy, and I think they're just a different thing,
I agree with that.
So, and I definitely think they look more human.
Most of the biggest problem that we're the biggest problem we've had with the proof of Bigfoot is the fact that the government's not going to tell anybody, first of all, that there's hairy 8-10 foot creatures running right out in the woods. They might not hurt you, we're not sure, but or there's Dogman running around out in the woods. It's okay. Bring your kids and spend the night camping in the camping area, and they go telling this kind of stuff. And in case people don't know, the national park industry is a 2.8 billion. That's with a B industry every year, and the biggest portion of it is from camping, walking trails, visiting certain sites in all the national parks. You go start telling people that there's some type of hairy creature out in the woods, and it may not harm you, but then again, it could. It's going to cut down the people going into the national parks. You're not going to find grandma bringing out the grandkids to spend the night in the tent for the first time. So, and then you got the same thing with the scientists. They can't figure out where this creature fits into evolution well, because it doesn't fit.
They don't.
And they're never going to admit that, because I'm a believer in. I'm a Christian myself. Everybody believes his own opinion. I believe we were formed by the Creator, Jesus Christ, God Himself, Jesus Christ being the Son. But if somebody wants to believe in evolution, they can. But that's the biggest problem with all the scientists when you bring up Bigfoot. They can't figure out where it fits into evolution well.
Mm-hmm. Because
so
it's again, like you said, the
government's not going to say either one of those.
Well, it's like you said. It's. I believe in God and I believe in Jesus too, and I don't believe in the evolution part. I like science people, but
never did.
They always seem to think they're right, but they could be wrong.
100% agree with that. Yeah, they always have the tendency, and don't get me wrong, I have a great respect for some of the scientists, but they believe that in their way of beliefs, and there's really not much bending it. That's just the way they feel. And I'm a little bit open-minded to anything. If I see something that makes sense, or regardless of what it is, I try to listen to it and see if I can make that work. But some people aren't that way, and that's okay. We're all people, but it's just not my form of attitude toward it. But there's no doubt in my mind what these creatures are. The ones I had on the river, I did a lot of communicating with them, and it took so many. Oh my gosh, I spent so much time there trying to get their trust. And if you believe in these things, if anybody, I don't know if you know Dr. Melba Kitchen, but I personally consider her a good friend. I think she did a great study on the Genome Project. I literally know Scott Carpenter provided her hair. There was blood samples. There was tissue. There was over 101 DNA samples. She literally proved that it was 58% human female, the other part unknown. Yeah, I don't know how people can not understand how that. I don't see the problem with that. That's what the DNA said, and not just once, numerous times. This 58% human female was, and the other part was creature unknown.
Yeah,
so the father of these creatures is unknown.
Yeah,
So
I heard about that too. And you know what? I have a theory on that as well. I think the Father Unknown, because you know we talk about God and all that. You know, it makes me wonder if the Father is actually the fallen angels. Because in my way, I think maybe they might be connected to the Nephilims, but I don't know. That's just a theory
you know,
coming to my mind.
I respect that from anybody. I've got tons of close friends of mine that think that they're a part of the Nephilim. Scott Carpenter, God bless his soul, he's gone. He was a very good friend of mine. He helped me rebuke some of these things that were terrorizing me.
Yeah.
Just a great guy, a great researcher. He thought they were partly Nephilim. I personally don't think they're Nephilim, but that don't mean I'm right. I think the Nephilim are more like the giants they found in the Kandahar caves over there in Afghanistan. They were a completely different, huge,
Mm-hmm.
human, hairy creature that some of the American soldiers had shootouts with these things, trying to kill them. They were trying to kill them.
Yeah, I heard about
But
that,
that's just my opinion.
but they keep trying to hide that from us as
My
well.
personal opinion is my personal opinion. These creatures are from another galaxy. They came here and they bred with human female of some type, whether it be American native or whatever, some type of female that was here, and that's what I think they are. But that don't mean I'm right. That's my belief.
You know, that's the way I look at it too. You know, I don't think I'm right, but I have theories. I think the dark hair Bigfoots are the natural ones, you know, maybe what you just said there, but the red hair ones, I almost think maybe those ones might be part of the Nephilim because they always seem to be pretty raging mad and do bad things, is what I hear, the red hair ones. I don't know what your thought is on
I've
that.
never, I've, I've seen a lot of Bigfoot in my time. Some just glanced going through the woods. Some watched and studied for long periods of time. But I've never seen a red one. I've seen black ones, like the ones I've seen. But there's all different, I think they're kind of like, us. I mean, there's Asians, there's, every nationality from Chinese to Vietnamese to, Japanese to American native to a Caucasian to Mexican. I think they're just like we are. There's so many different types of them. I believe I've seen 3 different types in my lifetime, and the book I looked up said there's 10 different types. I don't think anybody knows how many different types there are, but I'm sure there's a great number of different types. I think I've seen 3 different types.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really sure if there's a different race of these things or they're just like us and they're just different cultures and they look different. So, the red one could be some kind of what you're talking about, some type of Nephilim. I don't know. I've never seen one. My friend Michael Patterson had a white one chase him and his friends all the way to their truck and tried to kill them.
Wow.
And I think that was in Ohio in the early '80s. But anyway, that's all I've ever seen is black ones. And I've seen some from a distance that looked like they were gray, but I couldn't be sure that they were. It was just foggy that morning.
Well, whatever I saw across the canyon from here where I'm staying at right now, happened to be the area where I told you that I think maybe some researchers are going. What I saw was an upright figure just going through the clear cut there, and it was dark brown, and it looks so big to me because I'm seeing workers go over there and they look tiny. And this thing was big, and it was just going through the clear cut like fluidly, no problem. Like it was gone right into the tree line.
Right.
By the time I ran and grabbed the
Right.
binoculars, it was gone. I think it might have been a Bigfoot, but I'm not 100% sure.
Well, I've heard of all different colors in them before, so I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of different colors out there. I don't doubt any of those. Any of those could be possible. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've heard all
like I
kinds of
said,
different
I
colors
think
too. It's crazy. But yeah, hey, Darrell,
I do think there's.
what was the
Go ahead.
what was the most intense encounter you had? Is it with these dogmans or a rogue or a really angry type Bigfoot?
The most it'd always be the first encounter I ever had. I've been through the Dogman that I seen with Martin Rose, that the documentary was done on this year in March with Small Town Monsters. That one was pretty terrifying, but nothing like my first encounter.
Okay.
Excuse me. My first encounter was November 6th of 92. I was about 25, 28 feet up in my tree stand, deep in the woods in rural Tennessee, and this thing, my grandfather called it a wood booger. It came out of a cane thicket, jumped a creek, and stood right in front of me. I'm looking straight down. I'm on a 45-degree angle hill, straight down a big hollow. And I'm in a tree, just kind of overlooking this thing, and it's just showing me its teeth. It's growling. It's mad. It's really mad. It did not want me there, and it let out a yell and a howl and just ripped the tree limb right out next to it where it was standing. And that was the most feared I've ever been in my life. I had a 50 caliber muzzleloader, and it was black powder season, opening day, and I had one shot to take this thing down, and I didn't think one shot would take it down. And I didn't want to fire on it and just make it worse. And I was just thought sure it was going to pull me out of the tree. I really did. It was most frightened I've ever been. So it took me a long time to get over that. And if I hadn't met the ones on the river in '99 by complete accident, I was just fishing, I would have probably never recovered from that, and my opinion changed on these creatures deeply because, excuse me, I've got a little cold. I know for a fact that there are different types of these creatures. The ones out on the river are the ones that make the big X's. They form big X's with trees in the woods, whether they're alive or dead, and they'll break them at the bottom and they'll make an X, and they'll lay them on the trails, the game trails, X shapes with sticks. But those are the friendly ones. I learned that. I learned a lot from them. I spent about almost 4 years with that family on the river. But yeah, it was definitely my most frightening encounter ever. Was my first encounter on November 6th of '92.
Well, that's amazing. It's like you said earlier, you say you don't call yourself really a researcher. I have to say you're more of an investigator and experiencer for sure. That's the thing. What I'm doing too is I'm going out in some areas where I'm checking out right now, and people ask me, "Are you a researcher?" I go, "No, I'm a podcaster, but I'm also an investigator. I'm looking into these things because I want to know more." And believe it or not, my son, he's wanting to tag along, and I think it's awesome. So I have somebody else with me, and we're going out there and just having fun hiking and being careful and safe. And I said we'll call it squatching hiking, and he's down. So it's been pretty cool. And I just call myself a bit of an investigator and a knower,
It's it's what we're all doing, really. I'm not one of those people that believe in running out in the woods and banging on trees and big, huge lights over your head, walking through the woods in the middle of the night. I know enough about these creatures now, and to know that they're so smart and intelligent, you're not going to see one of them running around out in the woods with a big light system above your head and banging on trees and yelling and hollering. I mean, these creatures aren't stupid. They're very intelligent, and it's not like going to a zoo or something where they're just going to walk right out and let you see one of them and pose for them and walk off into the woods. I mean, most of these creatures don't like you, and they don't want you around them. They don't want anything. They just want to be left alone.
I agree with you
because if you're fortunate enough to if you're fortunate enough to friend one, or he tolerates you and you tolerate him, and you can learn from each other, like I was very fortunate to do, not once but twice. And I have a lot of stuff in me. I'm a very spiritual person, and I think these creatures also know that too. I really do. I'm very spiritual, and I feel things with these creatures. Matter of fact, I have some kind of ability now that I've learned when I go in a certain area. I can feel when they're in there. And Martin asked me, "You think they're here?" And I said, "They're to the left." And at that time, I'll hear a whoop or an owl call, or people think they're banging on trees, but it's actually their mouth they make that noise with. and it's like a way they do their mouth.
I agree with you on that
They do
because
bang rocks and they do bang trees.
when you talked about that with the people going out there banging on trees, and I feel like it's just scaring them, or not scaring them, but they're like, oh, they're here, let's go. They just go. You're not going to have an experience that way. I totally agree with you on that
Well, I mean,
because
yeah, I mean they're intelligent. They're sitting even if they're sitting watching you doing this from a long distance. These creatures have senses that are incredible. They can smell you from a mile. They can see you from as far away as we can't see, and they know when you're moving around. They have an unbelievable eyesight. I know that. And you're in there banging on a tree and yelling and hollering and making these screams and howls. And don't get me wrong. You can, if you're really good and you do a certain type scream or howl, you will get a response sometimes from one of these creatures if you're in the middle of nowhere in the middle of the night. You will occasionally get a response, but that's a little different than going out with a big lamp system, holding it high above, lighting the woods up and banging on trees and yelling and hollering. So it's just not what these creatures that they're just way smarter than that. It really it's to me it's just a waste of time to watch that.
mm-hmm. That's what I had a lot of respect for you, Darrell, because I'm learning more because I've heard your encounters on other shows. Like I've heard you on Rise show. I've heard you on a lot of shows, and that's why I wanted to do my show differently with you because I figured, you know what, let's just talk Bigfoot and talk about the experience and talk about our thoughts on it, and it's definitely going the way I thought it would. And I heard you on Jessica Jones' show, and I'm going to be having her coming on soon too. When I heard your experience on there, I was like, wow, I heard more on there and felt like I was there with you, and you were very detailed on those experiences you had. So much respect for you and your knowledge on it, man.
Um, I mean, I appreciate that. I'm nothing special. I'm just me. I can only talk about what I've experienced myself, and I don't like to criticize other people for what they do. But I think sometimes that people kind of go out of their way to try to create something that is not creatable. If you really want to research these creatures, go in the woods and be normal.
Mm-hmm.
Just go in the woods, be normal, walk around, sit down on a log. You know, I'm a grounding person. When I was really into researching these creatures, I would even take my shoes off and I would ground myself. That's what I called them, and I would call them the Chayutanko because from my grandmother was I was very close to my grandmother, and she was on my real father. She was full blooded Lakota Sioux, and she had very good spiritual abilities and feelings with these any type of creature. And I call them the Chayutanka. That's what I've always called them. And I dress them that and I go in the woods. And the Chayutanka means great elder of the forest, watcher of the forest. And that's what it means in their language. And that shows them a matter of respect. These creatures, if you respect them, they will respect you. And if you go in there and try to be understanding and realize when you walk into the woods, you're walking into their house.
Mm-hmm.
That belongs to them. It's just like them coming in your front door and sitting down in your living room. That's your house. You're doing the same thing in their house. And when you go in there yelling and screaming and banging on trees or big lights, and I think you kind of disrespect them in a way. They're not looking to harm you, but at the same time, they do think they're a higher power than us, and they are higher power than us. They've been there a lot longer than we have, and they know a lot more than we do. And when it comes to living and they're living in the surroundings and the survival techniques, they've had to learn to live in the forest and live and feed their young and take care of their young. So they don't trust us. There's so many people that took guns and went into the woods, and there's people now that are out there looking to shoot them. There's no reason to shoot them. They're not harming anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But there's people like that, and they make it difficult for the rest of us. So don't get me wrong, not all the Bigfoot are friendly, but not all the people are either. They're like us. They're bad and good and everything. So
Yeah, I agree with you.
I just be respectful when you go in the woods. If you want to learn these creatures, show them that you're respectful of them, that you're not there to harm them, you're not there to do anything, but get to know them, and for them to give you trust, and you would do the same with them, and honor their home.
Well, yeah, I totally agree with you on that, Daryl, because when I go out hiking with my kid and, my family, I bring my 9mm with me. A 9mm is going to be like a BB gun to these things. So I bring my 9mm for a reason, to protect them from any dangerous humans out there. Because, that's what I fear the most, is running into a bad apple out there.
I I do not blame you, and I don't. And there's lots of times when I will go without a weapon, but I've always go with one of my teammates or maybe all of them. But if I'm going in at night in a certain area we go to, I have to be careful and not carry a weapon. But I also announce to the creatures, the Bigfoot especially, hey, I'm here not to harm you. This is for my protection from another being and not you. And most of these creatures don't really care much for Dogman anyway.
Yeah.
And
What do you think these dogmans are? Are they connected?
I've heard. Well, I've heard people say they've seen them together. Martin Groves' encounter in '92. I was probably the only one he ever talked to about it for years because he was a chief deputy sheriff in my county and he's my best friend at that time. He was terrified. He's afraid to lose his job, telling somebody he's seen some kind of two dogman creatures and two Bigfoot that tried to kill you while you were turkey hunting. So it's kind of hard to go tell that story because, especially 30 years ago, wouldn't it? You could talk about it a lot more now than you could then. And at the same time, I was the mayor of my little town, and I couldn't just tell everybody I seen a Bigfoot. One of them I thought was going to kill me in my tree stand. So I don't think that Dogman. I personally think that most of the Bigfoot stay to themselves, and the Dogman stay to themselves. They're really not friends. They're a different creature. I've never seen a Bigfoot with a Dogman. I have had friends that have seen them together. I'm not saying that that's not a possibility, but I've never seen one with another one.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything like that yet. A dogman. I mean, like I said, I had a far distance, seeing Bigfoot. Maybe, I'm not sure, but I have found footprints. I found structures and stuff like that deep in the woods. I'm a known hiker. I used to hike a lot when I was younger, and I've been way deep in the woods. There's areas where I was like, "What is this? I don't think a human's been out here." Because we used to go to this place called Kaufman Camp, and you'd have to hike way out there in the middle of nowhere. And me and my buddy found some weird structures and the water hole there where you get your water. We found weird odd end footprints. Like, well, somebody was barefoot out here, but they're awful big footprints, And I always thought,
Right.
Bigfoot, and he thought I was crazy, but I just shake it off, and I'm like, no. In my mind, I'm like, I think there's a Bigfoot out here. So.
Well, I don't doubt that there wasn't. If I was going to tell somebody to go in the woods and they would go and they wanted to really start researching these creatures, first of all, you have to remember one thing. If you start researching them and you ever find one of them and they know you and you know them, you don't just quit. It's not like that.
Mm-hmm.
You friend these creatures, especially if you do want to. Don't start gifting them. If you start gifting them food and gifts and different things for them on a regular basis, they expect it on a regular basis. If you're going to do it ever so often. If you just want to kind of hang around and try to get to know them a little bit. If you want to get serious with them, you got to stay serious. You got to continue to do that. You just don't stop taking them food and gifts and not come back.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Because you've got to be careful how you do that type of stuff. I can't believe some of these people I hear that they're all into it and they'll go out and they'll gift for a month or so and these creatures are coming in and leaving them things and they're taking advantage of the food they leave them or whatever. And then all of a sudden they just quit. They don't go back in anymore. Well, these creatures don't understand that.
Mm-hmm.
They think that you don't want to be their friend anymore.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to say it, because I've heard a lot of people talk about that where they're gifting them, and then when they stop, sometimes I get a bad reaction from it. And I myself, I like to go out there and just have an experience of my own, but I'm not going to go out there trying to invade their space or gift them. I'm just out there and, just want that experience knowing they're there, and I know they are. And I want them to feel like, I'm not a threat. I hope these things have a safe place, because I worry that they're being capped out by the government, because I know damn well they know about them. And I think a lot of them have been killed off once people make big reports of the areas where they're going. So that's why I always tell people, don't tell people where you're going, because if you do, then you're going to get the government going in that area and go take care of business.
Right. I agree with that. I think I learned a lot on my adventure when I really got into researching back in the late '90s. If you're going to start, these creatures are they're so intelligent. They think if they give you the opportunity to friend them, in other words, they're behind a tree watching you when you come into their area, and they're not trying to growl at you or run you off or throw sticks or rocks at you to make you leave, and they're accepting you into their area. And at the same time, people that don't understand that have to realize that they want to treat them the same way. So if you want to just be there occasionally and have a chance, and they give you the chance to see them like that, which is not a common thing, they don't always do that. They got to have a good feeling toward you. I think somehow, some way, they know how to read you. They know what's in your heart and what your intentions are. I don't know how they do that, but I do believe that. And I think a lot of people that see them are those kind of people. I don't think everybody has the ability to see them because of what they may have in them. That's speculation. I don't know that to be any scientific proof, but that's just what I believe, because I know other people that are the same way I am with them. But if you're going to bring them something, bring them a gift of some kind, like a toy, a stone of some kind, a marble. I brought mine whistles. They loved them.
That's awesome.
Plastic whistles.
That's
Every time
awesome.
I'd come in, they'd start blowing whistles. I was so excited that I was there. And the proof that they even proved to me how intelligent they were. But you just have to be careful how you're friending them, because if you want to friend them and they think you're their friend and you just quit, they get a little upset. They don't understand what they've done.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. I think you're on to something there. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're fine. I mean, if somebody asks me, I get asked all the time. People will call me or message me or send me a letter or something, and what I do. I really want to get into doing this. How do I find one? I said, well, the first thing you got to do is go to an area where they're at. If you can find the water source, fresh water, or if you're in the ocean area, still water, they're going to drink fresh water. They don't drink ocean water. But if you can find, the biggest thing is to find water. If you can find water and you find a game trail, you got to find game trails. When you find the game trails next to water, where they crisscross, numerous game trails will crisscross at an X point somewhere in the area, you'll start seeing the tracks. They'll start picking up, because usually in that area they will build blinds. There'll be piles of logs or huge brush piles, and they'll hide behind those, and that's what they do. They'll ambush a deer when it comes by in that area. You find the water and you find the brush piles. You find the tree breaks 7, 8, 10 foot up. I'm talking about trees the size of your arm, and it snapped. The wind didn't do this. It just snapped. The rest of the trees fine. You'll hopefully find the X's. If you find the X's in the woods, those are the ones you want to be around. Those are the good ones. Those are the friendly ones. Those are the ones I call the Xanu, Xanue. They're very friendly. They were very friendly. They were my friends in Tennessee on the Cumberland River, Cheatham County, Tennessee. They were never aggressive. They were very good to me, and I was good to them, and we had no issue. But if you find that area where the game trail crisscrosses, normally it's a little deeper in the woods. These things can live close to the city. Don't think they live in the middle of 30 miles deep into the forest is the only place you're going to find them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's some in downtown parks and local areas that live there. And people don't know it because they don't pay attention to it and don't think that's possible. Scott Carpenter had numerous pictures of them right in downtown Knoxville and local parks. So, you know, these creatures are, like I said, they're very smart. But if you want to find them, that's what you got to find. You got to find a waterway, the game trails, and look for the tree breaks.
I totally agree.
Anything, the food source is going to be.
Well, there's a water
food source will be close, and you know.
Well, there's a water source right below me.
Go ahead.
There's a water source right below me in the canyon here, and it's called Bear Creek. And that's why I think I'll have to share this video with you. I don't share it with too many people because I'm not sure if it was a Bigfoot or not, because it kind of looked like a gray figure. And I showed it to another researcher, and he said, that looks like a Bigfoot. And I go, well, I can't say for sure because how far down it is into the creek. And my dog was definitely interested in it. And I have a creek right below the property line here, and I think it's called Bear Creek. Yeah, that's right, Bear Creek. They changed the name twice on that creek. And it's right there. And I believe what my wife heard, last summer, she heard weird sounds down there that she thought it was, coyotes, but then she explained to me on these sounds, and then she's like, yeah, I lived out here all my life, and that wasn't coyotes when she started listening to it more. And then she said that when I showed her this video or clip on Ohio Sound, Bigfoot, and she's, oh my God, that's what I heard. But she said she heard more than one. And I believe they're near here, across the canyon, so I believe there's a family group. And I'll have to show you that video. I'll send it to you later, and you can give me your opinion on it. And it looks like something's there, but I'm not sure.
Sure, I'd love to look at it. I had a lady send me a video off her back porch last week. I mean, I'm talking about right out her back door on her deck. She had one sitting on her deck, just sitting there.
Wow.
And
that's crazy.
They've been coming out there for quite a while, and she would leave it. She would cut up an apple and lay it out there on a plate, and it would come up, and it wasn't a full grown one. It was a juvenile, but I don't know, probably 5.5 foot tall. He'd come sit on the step and look in the window, and he was kind of nervous, but he'd eat the apple and he'd get up and walk off. And she said, "I've got this thing coming to my house. It's been coming. It all happened last summer by accident. I left my little girl. She has a young daughter. I don't know how old she is, but 2 or 3 years old, very young. She had cut her up an apple and put on the back porch in a plate, and her daughter came inside. It was hot, and she went out to pick up the plate, and the apple was gone. She looked around and didn't see. That was the story she told me, and it kind of led into this Bigfoot was watching her child.
Wow.
And she had told her mother there was a man there had come to visit her. And her mother got, of course, nervous. Somebody prowling around their property. She thought it was some strange man or something, but it was actually the Bigfoot. So she's kind of friendly to this thing. It doesn't try to bother her or anything. She doesn't go out there next to it. She stays in the house, but she'll leave it things. But these creatures are, they're really not, most of them, the biggest portion of them are just curious, elusive. They really don't like people. A reason why they don't like people, because they don't trust us. And can you blame them? I mean, we go in the woods, we tear everything up, we kill anything in the woods for no reason at all.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're out here banging on trees and yelling and screaming, running through the woods with lights. It's they just want you to act normal and try to be more realistic, be just a real person out there. But I've got a great deal of respect for these creatures, and I believe me, I've had some bad encounters. I had 2 or 3 that I believe honestly were trying to kill me back in 2020. I didn't do anything to them, but they were really after me. And then I had my first encounter. After I look back at that now, if that creature wanted to kill me, it could have. It didn't. Walked off.
I think I
They just wanted me scared to death not to come back in this area, and it worked.
yeah, I think I remember hearing you talking about that where they were harassing you at your house, correct?
Yeah, that was after a place we found. Me and a friend of mine, Bill Howell and Darrell Yarbrough, buddies of mine that was on my team. We had a high school friend that was scared to death. Drove a truck across country from Nashville to New York. He was down about 5 days every week making that run, and his girlfriend stayed at his house out in the country, a rural area of Tennessee, and she had these things looking in the window at her at night, scaring her to death. They were Bigfoot, a family of Bigfoot out there. She didn't know they were there, and he didn't either. He bought this little farm and just, he called us, wanted me to come down there, and I went and found out what he had, and just went on for, that was 2018 when we first went down there. And we were just trying to get him away from the house from scaring her to death, and we put some motion sensor lights up and some trail cams, and they stayed away. And she quit putting scraps out like she'd been doing. They were eating the scraps is what they were doing. And for the dogs and stuff, she would dump them out next to the wood line and whatever animals eat them, and they were eating that, and that brought them in. But yeah, that was pretty crazy. We were down there for, I don't know, 2.5 years, and Billy still goes on a regular basis. They're still there. For some reason, we had a bunch of orbs one night down there. It was just crazy as it could be 2 weekends in a row. These orbs were just all over us and flying all around us the second week. The first week, there were huge ones about the size of beach balls. And I decided to stay away from there a while. I couldn't understand what was going on. We were gifting these creatures, and we hadn't had any problems with them. They were coming in and feeding, and I'd seen the female and the juvenile several times. And we had no issues with them. And then after those orbs started happening, I kind of stayed away. That was the first time I ever got zapped. And I kind of stayed away down there for a week or so. I told Billy and Derry, hey, I'm going to stay away from there for a couple of weeks, take a break from there. There's something weird going on with these orbs. I've never been around orbs like that before. And I started terrorizing my farm. They were banging on the side of my house so loud the pictures were rattling at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. And I didn't know what was going on. I thought somebody was trying to break in when it first started happening, and just went on and went on and went on. And they tore up a lot of property I had. They killed all the cats I had in my barn. That I didn't have any. I had barn cats on the farm, and they terrified my horses. My horses were so scared they wouldn't even leave the street light at the end of my driveway. And it went on for about 2.5 months, and I guess that was June and July of 2020. And I thought they were going to kill me. They were trying to kill me. They tore up a lot of my property.
Wow.
And I just had enough of it. I went out one night, middle of the night, and I said, okay, let's just get it on. Y'all get me or I'm getting y'all. And I just sit down in my front yard, and I'm 3,500 feet off the main road. I'm out in the country on my farm, and it's dark, and they had just thrown a goat on my front door. They were on my porch, and they were trying to come in, I thought, and I had a 270 automatic and a 357 Magnum. I was ready to fire away if they come through the door, and thank God my kids weren't there. They were living with their mother at that time, but just had enough of it, and I've been talking to Scott, and I said, man, these things, Scott had a real similar incident, not as bad as mine, but they were at his house too, and he rebuked them. And I said, Scott, I got to do something about these things. And he said, rebuke them. If you believe in Jesus Christ and have that in your heart, rebuke them. All four corners of your property, all four corners of your house. Say, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus Christ. Leave my property and my family and leave us alone. And it worked. I couldn't believe it worked, but it did.
That's amazing.
I didn't come back. But it was real intense. I went through about 2.5 months of that, and had Martin Groves out there at night. He'd come through patrolling and hit his spotlight at my house. And had another sheriff that was a friend of mine, and when I was the mayor at that time, he didn't have a call, he'd come out and spotlight. And I don't know what I'd done to him. I never figured it out, but they were out to get me for some reason. I don't know if it's because I quit going down there for a couple of weeks, and we kept feeding them. It wasn't like we stopped, but never figured out what happened. But that's the first time I ever had them just terrorize me. They were just terrorizing me. They were tearing up stuff at my house. And like I said, they killed all the cats. There's probably 30 cats in my barn. They killed them all between there and the barn. And a goat. They threw a goat on my front door. A headless goat. I don't even have a goat. I don't have any goats. My neighbors don't have goats. I don't know where it came from. But, Martin came out and investigated while he's on patrol. And my neighbor not too far from me had two high dollar, really expensive bulls that were killed. I mean, I'm talking about $15,000-$20,000 trophy bulls.
Wow.
And they were just ripped apart. This all went on at the same time this was happening to me. So I don't really know. I don't understand it. I never will. All I know is that God bless Scott Carpenter. I miss that guy. I miss his knowledge and hearing all the stuff that he really learned and shared with us. But he really helped me out with the rebuking, because it did work.
Yeah, I watched some of Scott Carpenter stuff, and he had some pretty interesting stuff. And God rest his soul. It was sad. I was saddened when I heard he passed. I was like, oh wow. And he's one of those guys that was getting the the knowledge of it, and we lost one, so that sucks.
He was just a really good human being too, not just the fact of his knowledge. He was straightforward, honest, never added or took away from anything that he learned or seen. And I've always kind of paced myself like Scott. If I don't know, I'm not going to say it. I only say stuff that I know of experience or I've learned. But I've taught the world of that guy. And I was actually speaking. I think Martin Groves, and I believe Martin was. We were all at the Gatlinburg conference. We were speaking at the Gatlinburg, Tennessee conference, I believe, that week. And we were going out with Scott. Martin and I were that next weekend, and Scott passed away with an aneurysm, and I was just shocked. I just couldn't believe the fact that he had, and it was still today. I have a hard time believing the guy's gone, but I really truly believe that Scott. I've been zapped 3 times. Right, or zapped, infrasound, whatever you want to call it. I personally, Ron Moorhead, myself, Martin Nunley, Martin Groves, Joe and Jesse, my very close friends of Hellbent Holler, Joe and Jesse Dole. We've discussed this, and I 100% believe it's some type of radioactivity they do to us. I don't know how they do it or how it works, but I've had all my electronics drained in the woods, that same place that I got zapped at before. My watch stopped at 12:48. I got zapped. I was so sick I could hardly walk. Sick at my stomach, headache, had to go lay down. I was that sick. And even Joe and Jesse started carrying a Geiger counter, which measures radioactivity. They found radioactivity in the tracks of these creatures.
That's crazy.
So,
what do you think is up with that?
That even led me to believe that this zapping. I've been hit twice by Bigfoot, 2 different locations, 2 different times, a good amount of years apart. And I've been hit once by Dogman, that Dogman that Martin Groves and I seen in October of 22 in the LBL. What made us both super sick, Martin's throat swelled together. I thought he was going to die right there. And I just big Dogman right outside, right next to the truck, looking right at me. And we got zapped that night. And the whole truck smelled so bad that Martin could hardly breathe. And, it was unbelievable. But anyway, I do believe that it's some type of radioactivity they're able to use. I think that's my point I was getting to with this. Scott Carpenter had been zapped numerous times. He told me he got that. He told other people he'd been zapped many times. And I truly believe you get zapped enough that there might be something that could cause some type of aneurysm in your brain.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Powerful.
Because
I'm not sitting here saying that's what happened. I'm not saying that's what happened to Scott, but I think that could have had something to do with it.
You know, that's a good point though, because there was a guest I had on the show that said they were quit doing the research because they kept getting sick the more they dug deeper in there and into it, and then they were like, I'm backing out
Yeah.
of this. And ever since they backed out, they're doing better now. And I told them, well, if it's affecting you that way, you should just back out. Yeah. And I think you're on to something there.
Yeah, I believe that. 100% believe that. But
So
anyway, man, I've enjoyed talking with you on here. I hope I can come on again sometime. I'm gonna have to.
I'd love to have you back because I think we can get into a lot more. And it was awesome having you on, Darrell. And I definitely want to reach out to Jesse and Joe. I watched their stuff too. They got some amazing Dogman stuff going on. I'd definitely like to reach out to Martin Groves too.
You know, Martin, I'm going to tell you, Martin is the best friend I've ever had in my life. I talk to him pretty regular, but he is so busy. I'm not exaggerating, man. He's got so much going on right now.
Oh, I believe it.
It's just unusual that we haven't even got, we usually get together all the time. I get a phone call from him at least once a day. And he's been so busy lately. And Joe and Jesse are just the best boots on the ground team out there. They're just fantastic people. They're very good researchers.
Yeah, I've been watching their stuff since they started.
I love getting with them. I just don't have anything but the best to say for them. And I consider them such good friends. And we've been so fortunate. We've spoken at so many conferences together. We're always there. It's always me, Martin, and Martin. And Joe and Jesse there, and Ryan a lot of times. But we run into Joe and Jesse so much, and I enjoy being with them, and can't say enough good things about them. They're just the best of people, and they'd be a great interview for you to have on there. They really would. They know a whole lot. They really do. They work hard. They really do.
Yeah, that's the thing with this podcast.
Anyway,
I want to go out and learn more from you guys who are out there experiencing these things. I've only had a little handful of things going on, and going out and talking to people, it just really find it fascinating to hear people's encounter and research and so on. I'm even trying to get Harley on the show, but he seems to be pretty busy, maybe after the new year. I'm sure you know who Harley Owen is.
You know, Harley Owens is Harley Owens is such a close friend to me too. He's just, he thinks the world of me, and I think the world of him. And, we got to keep that guy upbeat because he's took a little criticism lately, and it's kind of hurt his feelings a little bit and got him down a little bit. And I keep pumping him up and telling him, don't worry about what people say to you. I don't care what anybody believes. I don't care what they believe, anything I say. I know what I've experienced and what I've seen. And if they don't believe me, that's fine with me. I know. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, Darrell, because I try to tell anybody that wants to come on my show, because it says Mountain Man Explore the Truth, doesn't mean I'm going out there trying to look for the hoaxers or, other things. I'm trying to explore the truth, meaning that I'm trying to get people's truth out there and let people take it as, whatever,
100%.
And I think people mislead that. So yeah.
Tell me, first of all, why would anybody even want to hoax something? I'm trying to figure out why. Why would you even want to do it? I mean, I've been doing this for over 34 years now. And I can literally say there is no money in this thing. If somebody thinks they're going to get rich or make it big time profit wise in this industry that I'm in, please tell me how to do it, because I've spent way more money than I've ever earned.
Well,
I don't do it for anything but for people to understand and know the truth.
Well, that's the thing, Darrell, is that it's people like yourself and myself that we want to get the truth out there so people are aware and be respectful to these things. I know there's some that are threats, but there's some that are not. So don't think they all are like that. Like you said, they're like humans. There's some bad ones and good ones.
Well, they really are,
And yeah, you're right about the hoaxers.
Be prepared for the bad one, though.
The hoaxers, I don't know why they waste their time.
I don't know,
Go ahead.
I personally don't know. I don't know a hoaxer, and if I did know a hoaxer, I would tell everybody he was a hoaxer, her or he. But I don't know anybody that does. I don't understand why somebody would want to waste everybody's time doing it.
Yeah, I had one hoaxer I dealt with, and he finally admitted it, and I was like, well, you know, it was a good story that you were telling me, but once you showed me the footage of the, you know, the face in the woods there, I automatically knew the mask because I seen it because it came off Amazon site, and I'm like, well, I'm familiar with that because I seen it. And he goes, yeah, I did that. And I go, well, why? And he goes, I just wanted to. I go, well, people like that's what starts to get people looking at the truth seekers like they're crazy, you know. Let's not hoax. Let's just get to the truth. And if you want to be involved,
we have,
you know, go ahead.
I agree with you. You know, we have a hard enough time in this field that we're in, having people give us credibility anyway. Why make it more difficult on people that are out there trying to find the real answers and trying to do their best to bring forth the real in this adventure? That's what it is. It's the real. Why even? There's no way I can ever understand anybody wasting their time with something like that. I really can't.
Oh, I agree with you. I agree with you.
You know, after you see things, you know, after you see things that I've seen, I don't need an excuse for anybody to make up some kind of crazy stuff.
No.
It just makes me feel like, you know, it's just worthless. It truly is.
You're right. 100% right. That's why I say to those people that are doing it, if you're into it, just look into it. Don't fake stuff. Just get into it and research it. Learn from the people that experience this and be respectful, and you'll learn more that way. If you want to experience, go out there, enjoy the woods, hike. Who knows? You might have an experience. If you don't go out and be stupid. Just enjoy life. You never know what's going to happen. Just be a believer, and, you know, just don't fake stuff.
Sure, anybody. I agree. I think anybody that wants to do this, if they just carry on to themselves as natural and have a good heart and try to be in there for the good, right reason and show respect.
Yeah.
You will have that opportunity, but it takes time and effort. You're not just going to do it in the first 2 or 3 hours. It takes a lot of work to get in there and do that. It's not something that's that easy.
No, it's not. And I feel for Harley too.
I never thought it would have happened to me.
Well, I feel for Harley too, because I face some ridicules too, because people think I'm crazy and loony looking into Bigfoot and make fun of me about it on my podcast. I go, well, I don't really care what you think. It's what I'm into, and I'm trying to learn from people too. And I enjoy it because I'm fascinated by the subject and much more. And I believe people, because once I hear these experiences, they start to match up to the other experience that people had. And I think it's important to know this truth. So.
Well, I personally think that everybody that's involved in this stuff really is on the right track if they're doing the right thing and in their heart the right way. So
you're right.
That's what I feel about it. I don't think anybody that is doing the best they can to try to become involved in this field. There is no right or wrong way. Just try to do your best.
Exactly. Well, all right, Darrell, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I'll definitely bring you back because I like to talk with you. I think
Appreciate you having me out.
Well, I think we had a great conversation. I learned a lot from you.
I would love to.
So I'll bring you back.
I've always thought right of you, and I'm there again. I'm honored to be on, and thank you very much.
Yeah, I took a long break because I was dealing with personal stuff, but I'm back in it, man, and I'm back. So I'll definitely bring you back. I'd like to do a little live show with you, right. So that'd be awesome.
Sure, man, no problem. We'll do it. Hey, Merry Christmas to you and your family, and again, I'm honored to be on. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, and Merry Christmas to you and your family, and have a Happy New Year as well, man. Stay in touch.
All right, buddy. Thank you, man.
Take care.
See you.
All right. Bye. Well, guys, that was the show. I hope you enjoyed it. Having Darrell Denton on, that was awesome. I really enjoyed chatting with people like him. People foot on the ground, researchers. Well, he doesn't really call himself a researcher, more of an experiencer. I could say investigator, man. He's got a lot of experience out there with these guys, and with Ron Moorhead and you know, Martin Groves, and you know, all these people that are connected, and Jesse and Joe. I hope I can reach out to them and bring on the show, because those are an interesting couple right there. I really enjoy their stuff, especially their Dogman stuff they had going on. But I'd like to thank Darrell for coming on, and I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I learned a lot, and we did something different with it. we heard his experience on other shows, so I wanted to go a little different route with this show, with just talking Bigfoot and so on, you know, learning other subjects about things like Dogman and these orbs, and we heard little clips of his experience, and I really appreciate him coming on the show. So I hope you guys enjoy it, and I hope more like you know, people like him and people who had these experience and encounters come on the show. You're more than welcome. Don't feel like you're gonna face any ridicule on my show, and that's why I had to point out about MountainMan Explore the Truth. Doesn't mean I'm trying to expose people on if they're lying or telling the truth. No. I'm here to put your truth out so people can be the judge of it, and who cares what they say? It's what you believe and what you experience, and I believe you. I'm not in it just to expose these people. What I say to those hoaxers, don't waste your time, because you're not going to fool us. And all you do is ruin it for people that are truth, you know, telling the truth out there. So leave them alone. If you're one of those people who like to ridicule people, why? You know, get a life. Why ridicule people for their experience? It's just uncalled for. Don't do that. It's, you know, I'm going to give a message to everybody that listens to my show. Don't let those people get to you. Forget them. Don't be ashamed what you believe in. Don't worry about what they think. It's what you know and what you believe. That's what's most important. Who cares? I've learned that myself. I don't even care what people think, what I believe anymore. So don't worry about it. It's like, you know, Harley out there facing that crap. What I say to those people, just, you know, ignore them. Do you, and you're doing a great job out there, man. Hopefully I'll have you on the show soon too. Thanks again, Darrell, and thanks for watching, guys, and listening. So let's go ahead and plug in some work. If you haven't yet, subscribe on YouTube, thumbs up, comment, share the show. That's the most important thing to do. And on Spotify, please hit that follow button and rate it a 5-star. I like to take a 5-star if you could. 4 is okay, but please don't give me 3 or 2. 5 is great. So if you listen to it on Spotify, the most important thing to do is to download that episode, because it actually brings it up in the charts. A lot of people just play using their internet. Don't waste that. Just download it, and it's not affecting your internet, and it saves your data. On YouTube, just share the show, and you know how to hit the subscribe button and hit that bell so you know when a new show's coming up. And please comment. I hope you guys enjoy the show, and I really appreciate Darrell coming on. And I hope to bring more people like him on, and other people that haven't been on the show yet, reach out. I'm not here to ridicule or, you know, like I said, I'm here to tell you your truth. So remember that. I hope you all have a happy holiday. Merry Christmas to you all. Happy New Year. I'll be releasing this episode the week of Christmas. So, and then, you know, I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep going. So, and I got more special guests coming on the show. So can't wait till that happens. So for now on, guys, until next time, let's explore the truth together. Thank you for listening.